of Transport.
The People's March is on the 21st.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. It was the worst of times, it was the age of foolishness, and it was the epoch of incredulity, and it was the season of darkness. It was the winter of despair. We had nothing before us. These words by Charles Dickens in his Tale of Two Cities could very well describe the world we are seeing today. Honorable Chair, this is the worst of times. The escalating confrontation involving the United States, Israel, and Iran threatens to plunge the Middle East into a devastating regional war with profound consequences for global peace, security, and economic stability. It is an age of foolishness where diplomacy too is easily abandoned in favor of military escalation and where the instruments of war are deployed with alarming haste. Decisions are taken in distant capitals that now reverberate across the world, threatening stability beyond the battlefield. Again, it's an epoch of incredulity. The world watches with disbelief as missile strikes, retaliatory attacks are escalating, and escalating threats push an already volatile region closer to catastrophe. It's an age of darkness where we see war casting its shadow over the Middle East. Civilians bear the heaviest burden, with homes destroyed and lives lost and communities shattered. The IFP unequivocally condemns the escalation of tensions and violence in the region. This cycle of attacks is unjustified, unreasonable, irresponsible, and irrational. It undermines the prospects of peace and places the world on a dangerous path. These acts of aggression and retaliation stand in clear violation of international law, eroding the very principles that govern relations between nations. We further note with grave concern the United Nations Security Council, the institution charged with the primary responsibility for international peace and security, has once again been rendered structurally incapable for decisive action. The veto architecture of the Security Council, as presently constituted, allows powerful states to shield themselves and their allies from accountability. This is not merely a procedural failure, it is a crisis of global governance that South Africa, as a multilateralist Honorable Minister of International Relations, must seek to reform with urgency. Our call is that we must silence the guns. First, there must be an immediate cessation of hostilities. Secondly, all parties must return to serious diplomatic engagement under the auspices of the United Nations. And thirdly, there must be renewed international commitment to regional stability and collective security of the Middle East. And lastly, there must be a consistent and principled defense of international law and the protection of civilian life. Whilst we call for peace abroad, we must now turn our focus here at home. Conflicts of this magnitude inevitably have consequences far beyond their immediate theaters. South Africa is not an island, and as an active participant of the global economy, events beyond our borders and continent inevitably have an impact on us today in today's interconnected world. We are not immune. We remain concerned by trade and oil disruptions due to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Moreover, as economic analysts indicate, the country's vulnerability to fuel supply will be most exposed as never before. Therefore, South Africa must undertake parallel processes for preparedness and reflection. We must be ready for what lies ahead. Concretely, this means the IFP is calling on the Ministers of Finance, Trade, Industry and Competition and the Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources to commission urgent fiscal impact assessments examining South Africa's exposure to a sustained oil price shock, including its knock-on effects on the fuel levy, transport costs and food prices. We further call on Eskom and the National Energy Regulator to assess the implications for our already strained energy system. And we call again on the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition to identify strategic routes and supply chains that may be disrupted and begin contingency planning accordingly. I wanted to say more, but to this new honorable member of the MK, You are the ones who issued a statement welcoming Donald Trump as the President of the United States. Secondly, it was you, Mkhuleko, what happened to Gaddafi? We must ask you. Thirdly, whilst you stand here to seek to insult us, the people are rejecting you. We are better now. So Shayunabe, the Bekulumana Iko, we are better. We speak as
Time has expired.